The error message, no address on SPAIDEN, means that the student didn't have an active address for any of the options you put in when you were running SFR and SLC. So remember when you were watching the video, when you went to run SFR and SLC, you put in 4 different rows for address. And we told them check for mailing address first, check for permanent second, business third, for last. And then in parameter number 5, you put a date. And that date you're saying, okay, is there any active address as of this date that meets one of those criteria? Well, if you get a student on the error reports that will be tied to a student with their name and banner ID and it says no address, that means that that student didn't have any active address for any of these types that you entered when you were running SFR and SLC. So what you have to do is you have to get the student's address and enter it on SPAIDEN or correct whatever is on SPAIDEN. So I would log into SPAIDEN. So I would go to SPAIDEN. Once I'm logged in, I would put the student's banner ID, which I'm getting off my error file, and then I would select Go, and then I would select on the Address tab. So for this particular student, there was no address. So that's why the person ended up. So this is one you would definitely have to reach out to the student and get their address, and then you would just enter in their address. So you put the from date, and here's where the type goes. MA for mailing, and then you put the address in. Now, once the address is there and it's active, it would mean that this student would no longer show up on your error report. But if you would access the student's record and they would have a address, but this indicator was selected, that would mean that someone inactivated the address. So that's why they showed up. They had an address, but it wasn't active. In addition to this field, you could use the to field. So if I had this where it said 10/05/2018, and then the to date was 10/15/2015, that to date would say, okay, this is no longer an active address. So when you're looking at addresses, number one, you're checking to see if the student has an address. And if they do they have it for one of the types that you entered when you ran SFR and SLC? And if they do, is it active? I mean, is the to date null and the inactivated address indicator not selected? And if it is, well, then you really just have to verify with the student what their correct address is. If it doesn't exist, insert a new one. If this was the right one but was accidentally inactivated, unactivated. I mean, I can click this to activate it again, and then delete out the to date. But that's what you do when you need to, when you get that error about the address, no address.